it go where we want it to go. I'm going to make it come to the side over here. That way it travels through and in. Maybe change the position a little bit more. Wherever suits you. But I just want to make it hit those two buildings. So, move a little lower. And hit U. And for this position XY, click this left button. It goes to the next keyframe and uncheck the frame, or the key. So that way we have no pre-particles or whatever. So that way we have just a meteor coming from the side and entering. And maybe we can change the position of the Z space a little bit more. That way it looks like it's coming from farther away, and maybe it'll speed up when it hits. Anything that'll make it look better. Then boom. Maybe position that off screen. That way we have it coming off screen into the frame and hitting the buildings. At the end we can actually bring it forward, that way it looks a little bit bigger when it actually comes and hits. Because, you know, it is a meteor and it's on fire coming through space, you know. All that cool stuff. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to edit the particle. We're going to change the life to about 5 seconds. That way we have more particles lasting over time. And we're going to go ahead and change the size. That way it fills in some of the gaps. And we'll go to the emitter and change the particles per second to 750. That way a lot more particles are generated and we have a lot more detail in the actual smoke. So now when it travels through, we have a nice big smoke cloud when it goes through the actual system. And let's change the velocity from motion down to 5. And then the velocity RAM, that can stay, and the velocity to 50. That way it doesn't expand too much. It's just a nice looking meteor crash. That actually looks really, really decent right now. And this is going to eat up a little bit of your rendering time, since it is a lot of particles being generated. I am using a pretty decent computer, and we can just set the resolution to half. That way it'll render it a little bit faster, but of course with a little less quality. But it's not going to affect us too much. It's just going to improve our workflow. Now that we have that out of the way, we can go ahead and edit some of the parameters of the starting smoke and the actual smoke. So we're going to go ahead and close out that particle, and we're going to go to the auxiliary system. Now this is emitting from the main particles, but we want to change the size, opacity, color, all that stuff. So the color, we can actually change some of the settings and make it a little bit brighter, maybe a little bit more of a yellow. That way it looks sort of a white when it's in the middle. Maybe a little bit more red. Darken it just a little, because we still want to get some of that fire across and make it look pretty cool. And opacity over life, that's set to good. Size over life, we can go ahead and tweak this however we want. I don't know how much it's going to change, but you know. We can use this and flip it. And even make it so it has a nice little fireball and then goes out. Maybe so it lasts a little bit longer. You know, just make it to your likings, just make it to how you see fit. Because this is a meteor, and you know, we're gonna brighten some spots up and make it look pretty cool. Just to just to make a cool looking effect. And that actually looks pretty good, and I'm gonna leave it at that. The velocity, actually, that's fine. We we can change the life. That way the brightness, we can change where the brightness is. We got a little hotspot over there. Set it to a smoke lit. That makes it darker. Never mind. And that looks actually pretty good. Probably bring the opacity back up. Color over life. Color from main. And that looks pretty good. We can turn on the motion blur. I don't know if that really did anything, but you know, if it's there, it's there. And we got a nice looking traveling meteor. So you know, pretty cool. So now we're gonna go back to the particle and change some of the settings. We can actually make the smoke a little bit darker. So got a nice color over there. I don't want to be too red. Maybe just a little bit. And then this could be maybe darker. That actually looks pretty good right now. But nice running meteor through the screen, you know, it looks pretty good. So there we go. Now we got our meteor done. And in the next part of the tutorial, we'll be going over how to make this meteor a little bit more complicated and kind of get a reflection and some light glowing on the buildings. So see you then.